for our viewers, could you please tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah. As you mentioned, I'm an engineer by profession. I'm a hardware engineer, to be very precise. I worked for about 17 years in a couple of companies, and then figured out baking as something that I enjoy doing. And slowly it started baking, then it went to creative work. Mostly, I would say I call myself a cake artist, which is what I relate myself to. So uh, that's a little bit about myself.
All right. So, wow. So, from an ex-hardware engineer, how did Rubina the baker come to be? Like, when did you discover that you really liked baking? When was it, roughly?
I grew up, watching my mom bake all the time. I wasn't very interested then. I never used to even help, or probably we just licked a little bit leftovers of the cake batter. But I enjoyed my work, of course. I thoroughly enjoyed my work. When I had my son, my first son, when he was 2 years old, at that point of time, just for the sake of for him, I just started baking, making some cupcakes, and it turned out really well. And then somebody said, "Why don't you sell out here, in the apartment?" So that's when our Diwali fest came up, and I made some cupcakes and some brownies, and it was a major hit. That's when I realized I can bake. I had no prior baking experience, but that was very nice. And seeing my cupcakes, one of my friend said, "Why don't you bake for us?" She was starting a new company, a cupcake company. So she said, "Why don't you bake for us?" So I started baking for her, and I made the first cake for my son for his second birthday. That's how I thought I have an interest towards baking. And pretty much it was cupcakes that I was baking most of the time. Then I realized I'm more interested in the creative part of the cake, like making a designer cake. That's when my neighbor, one of my neighbor told me, "Why don't you make a butterfly cake for my daughter's birthday?" That was the first order I got. And I was like, butterfly cake? Would I be able to do? I've just made cupcakes, but can I do a butterfly cake? Then I just thought, what can I do? Then I made a round cake, cut it to half, flipped it over, and then made a butterfly, and it came out very well. And that thrilled me. You could do something, some creative part. That was the first trigger, I would say, which actually made me go to the path of making artwork in cakes. So I think the best part I like is creating an art. The creative part of this work is what I enjoy. So that was the initial trigger for this whole venture, I would say.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, who were your 10 customers, like first 10 customers, or how did you, get to your first 10 customers?
It was quite organic, Kritika. I didn't have any method or anything, because I was then working, as I told you. I had not quit job. I was doing this as a hobby, as a passion. It was mostly word of mouth. So this friend who actually gave me the first order, then she would tell a neighbor, then another friend of hers or a relative of hers. Slowly it started, but it wasn't too much, maybe 1 or 2 cakes in a month. So I just learned on the job, trying different things, trying out anything. If anybody asked me, do this cake. So I think the first fondant cake I did was a Nemo cake. So again, it was a family friend. So she said, "Can you do a Nemo cake for my son's second birthday?" I said, "Okay, let me try." So I would try anything they ask. Pretty much I would like to try and see if I can do it. And when it comes into life, that gave me the pleasure of doing more, continuing it, and wanting to explore this more.
That's wonderful. So, besides the cakes and the fondant cakes and the cupcakes, what were the other things that you were still baking from home? What was there anything else, or were you like specializing in cakes only at the time?
A little bit of desserts. So that's how I named. So when I named Heavenly Desserts, it was in 2012 when I figured that I like doing this artwork in cakes. So cupcakes, cakes, mousse, brownie. So it was pretty much desserts and the cake pops. So it was the dessert line of products that I thought we will do. We will become specialists in. So that was the idea, and I named it Heavenly Desserts. So,
and rightly so. So when was that, like, one point when you thought, like, this is the time to step aside from the engineer career and just, cartwheel into being a baker full time? When was that time?
It took quite a bit of time, I should say, Kritika, because when in 2012, when I found out I'm really interested in this creative part, but I was happy doing it as a passion. In the process, what I would do is I would get, deprive my sleep most of the time. Why? Because I have full-time job, I work, and then after work I would come and do this cake. So it was like juggling between both. I wouldn't say no to a cake. So that was getting hectic. And I also delivered a baby in the meantime, my second child. And it went on. I was not very courageous to quit my job because it was a fulfilling job too. I was enjoying it very well. So I didn't want to quit job as well. And it was very, very tough decision. But after doing it for about 5 6 years, in the meantime, I figured we wanted to try out the savory part of the baking. So that's when we were trying breads and certain things. So I had a help. I had my first help, who would help me out during the day when I'm at work, and he would start trying experimenting breads and other savory things. And but I didn't take a plunge until 5 6 years after starting, because I was enjoying the work too. But when it started taking a toll on my health, I felt it's time that I decide what I want to do. And that is when I think my family really helped in deciding. My husband said, go for it, do what you want to do. You decide, you have the flexibility. Don't feel pressurized that you have to do this or you have to do that. Nothing. You think what your heart says. I'm fine by whatever you take, whatever decision you take. So then I said my heart was going towards the creative part. Even though I enjoy the other work, I did it 17 years. So I thought, let me explore this side of the, um, you know, business. It was more than a business. It was purely passion. And when somebody tells me, hey, this cake was superb, it brought a smile to my daughter, it made my day, that was giving me energy and motivation to keep going on. And without my family support, I don't think I would have taken that plunge. Both my parents, in-laws, and my husband and my children, of course, they would be like, okay, mommy, when I'm doing a cake, they would say, they'll just stay away, kind of help me. So I think I just decided probably 6 7 years after I started as a home business. I took a break first from work, meaning just took a break to see, really, do I want to do this? Then after about 10 months of break, I figured out I really, really wanted to. Then I quit my job.
That's fantastic. And I think that's the kind of support you need at home, right? To do something like that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So, and how did like Heavenly Desserts come into picture? How did the Cloud Kitchen come into the picture? I do understand that somewhere in between, while you were still working, you had already named the brand. But
yes, that was named in 2012. 2012, I named it. Yes. As soon as, because we had to open a Facebook page. That was the first, that's the only marketing medium I had. So Heavenly Desserts was named in September 2012. And I personally do not enjoy sweets a lot. I like savories. So that's when I said, okay.
An irony.
That's true. So that is when I said, okay, let me explore the savory part. And that is when the bread, the puff, the other lines of products, slowly, we were trying slow, because it was mostly driven by customers' requirement, I would say. When I was baking the cake, somebody said, Rubina, why don't you try some healthy breads? So that's when the whole wheat bread thing started, in the surrounding people, the people. So when we started asking for healthy breads, and said, okay, let's try breads. And then since we're making the cake, we felt we should be able to give a holistic solution, like, a cake, then a party snack, which will make more sense. So, but my infrastructure was mostly an oven and a mixer, which is more towards the baking part. So we decided we'll stick on with baking, and we'll slowly expand and explore the products, which is in line with what we have as an infrastructure. So there's a small place I had rented as where I started my kitchen then. So that is the same place I still have my cloud kitchen in. And so slowly we started with breads, the whole wheat bread, the line of breads like multigrain, garlic, sandwiches, pizza base. And then we started moving into puff. So every simple product we would start and then do a variation. So it was built slowly in the last 3 years, I would say, little by little. We didn't start or put one whole big menu and then, venture out. It was very slow, very organic, and the only marketing medium I had probably was Facebook. Apart from that, it was completely hearsay. People, to be very honest, people have to taste my food to really want to buy it. If some, so it's like you taste and tell somebody, hey, I tasted and it's nice, then people will definitely come back to me. Without that, if I show something and say, I feel they cannot really understand what I mean when I say certain things about even the bread or puff or my cakes or anything for that matter.
Absolutely, yeah. So the menu took some time to, like to be what it is today, right? And
Right.
today, like what are your like top selling items?
Uh,
What are your best items from your menu? The ones that your
I think
favorites.
cakes would be the Belgian chocolate truffle. It's by, I would say outrightly twins. It's like about 90% people want that cake. And then comes our puff. So puff is one of the best sellers again. People enjoy a puff. Once they start eating a puff, I think they say we can't eat another puff. And then a bread, the whole wheat bread. Again, uh, people who had my bread, they again say it's very difficult to buy an outside bread. Then another best seller is our brownie, our Belgian chocolate brownie. So these are the four top sellers, I would say.
Wonderful. I think I'll have to pay a visit this weekend to your kitchen.
Yeah, Kritika, definitely.
So that's fantastic. So before like we proceed, I would just like to remind our viewers that if you have any questions for Rubina, please share them in the comment box. We'll take them up in the last segment of this session. And a lot of people have joined us, Rubina. They say hi. Barkha says hi. Mini says hi. Hi, Reena. So glad all of you could make it. So Rubina, in this entire journey from, with a job, still having a home kitchen, to starting a cloud kitchen, and then where you are now, what has been your biggest challenge and how did you overcome that?
It's there's not just one. There have been a couple of them at every stage, I would say. So when we started, when I took a break from work and I started, so that's when I completely fully went into. Until then, it was we used to my helper used to help me make certain stuff, and in the evening I would do the cakes and rest of the stuff, and people pick up from home. It was very simple. But when I really wanted to explore it as a business, that's when I started going there full time, starting exploring things. So the biggest challenge initially was the delivery. So I used to go and deliver. That was the first challenge. And at that point of time, we got a lot of delivery, mechanisms like the Danzo and other people. So slowly that was getting sorted. Or I started hiring people and having my own staff deliver. So that was the first thing. So we wanted to, because as a startup, you have restrictions on the funds and so many things. So the things that we were trying to do is do the best you can. Don't jump in. Don't have too many things to do. And to be very honest, we were trying to do what we can with the little people we had. I had 2 3 people initially. So one of them used to help me in delivery. So that's slowly we started. And then when the delivery apps came in, then they were helping me. But other than that, the one of the major issue I'd been facing for quite some time is capturing of the orders. It's a WhatsApp based. People are very comfortable with typing in the orders. So when it's a manually typed, you kind of have to capture the order, and each person will order various things, 3 items, 4 items. So capturing and recording it and delivering it without a mistake was a biggest challenge. Second biggest challenge. I mean, after the delivery one, it's sorted. You kind of you can deal with it. If the delivery person is not there, Dunzo is not there, I go deliver. Sorted. But this was another perennial problem for the last 3 years, wherein Chef Buddy came and gave me a hand. I think it was Jan or Feb. I don't recall when you launched your beta version. So that actually took off a big burden from me in capturing the orders. So now it's very easy. I just go in there and just see the list of items. For 10 items, I can see how many against each bread, how many breads total. I don't even have to know who ordered. So it has made life terribly easy. I had an accounting system where I'll enter my orders, so I know how much somebody owes me. Have they paid, not paid? So that we have all of these, POS kind of QuickBooks and so many other things. So that was taken care. But between this ordering and capturing, between that, to eliminate the manual error, that's when Chef Buddy is kind of helped me in the whole streamlining the whole things. So that's another challenge. The third one is, now that's something which I'm still trying to address, is the uh, being able to have people pay while they order. Of course, I think we will find a solution for that. But yeah, so every challenge we face it when we solve it when we face it. At that point of time, it's like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. I mean, I'm very happy to know that Chef Buddy could help you with your day-to-day operations.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it, Kritika. I can go on about it. How it has made my life easier and simpler now.
Thanks. Thank you, Rubina. So Barkha says that she loves the coffee cake, and Shweta says the brownies are really good, really delicious. So, Rubina, we have a lot of new chefs watching us tonight. Like, if you had to give them one pro tip, what would that be?
One tip. Interesting.
Or, well, more than one, but what would be the pro tips for the chefs?
I have few which I have it as a lifeline for the business. It's basically, I would say, the backbone of the business. The whole business is built on it. And even as I told you, when I took a break, that 10 months, I wanted to see if we could stay aligned to this, the underlying backbone, so that then only if we can, stay aligned, then it makes sense to make the whole plunge, me quitting the job and doing it whole time. So I think first thing was, the business was not built to make money. That was my first thing. It was, of course, you need to make money. It has to bring in revenue. It's fine, but the business was not built on it. Money or making money is the thing, was not the thing. First thing that we, me and my husband. Of course, my husband has been one of the help, major help from the background, and the rest of the family supports me too. So we wouldn't base the business for making money. So that was the first thing. Then the other three things I would say was, run your business with ethics, have integrity, and be true to what you're doing. Speak what you do, basically. If you have an issue, speak it out. So I believe in being very honest, very open. I tell my staff, you have a problem, tell me. We'll find a solution. But if you don't tell, then I will not be able to solve it, sort it, or do anything for that matter. So I follow the same principles. These three things I tell them: be honest, be true to what you're doing, and ethics is very, very critical, and integrity. So if I give a word to somebody, I have to keep it. These are the backbones of the business on which I have built the whole business. And I have my staff, I tell them, reiterate to them, this is what we should do, this is how we should be doing. And I think that has got me to this level, definitely. Because I think if we go behind money and our money is the only thing, I don't think you'll be at peace, because you would not see profit, or you wouldn't see doing exceedingly well immediately. It takes time. It's like, as I told you, after I took the break, about 3 years, and still there's a lot more, a long way to go. So I think we have to be patient, and we have to be true to what we want and true to what we do and say. That's something I very strongly believe.
Wow. So let's hope that was wonderful, Rubina. I hope all the chefs watching us tonight got some, insight to your secret to success. So that brings us to the next segment of this session, that is the rapid fire round. Now, Rubina, do we start with the rapid fire?
Sure.
Okay, I'll be asking you 5 questions and try answering them as quickly as you can.
Okay.
I've kept it simple for you, so it should be easy.
Okay.
All right. So, well, here we begin. Rubina, your go-to comfort food.
Go-to comfort food.
Yeah.
Go-to comfort food. I think it's my idli.
Quick. It's McD.
Idli.
Idli.
Okay. Homemade idli. To be noted.
Yes, noted. And your favorite kitchen tool or appliance to work with?
My mixer.
Wonderful. What's your favorite ingredient to cook with?
Favorite ingredient to cook with? Chicken.
All right. And lastly, last question. What's your favorite thing to do on your day off?
Watch TV. That's
Fantastic.
my Korean series. I enjoy watching Korean series. So
Oh, that's very interesting.
yeah.
So, well, you were almost there. You were quite quick and prompt. And I've had a lot of fun asking you all these questions. So we have a question for you. How do you experiment with the new recipes that you create? That's a very
Off late, I've been experimenting with my son. I give him the recipe and tell him, "Come on, let's do it," and he'll kind of drive the whole thing. So that's my latest way of experimenting new things.
okay. But even otherwise, I mean, when you're introducing new items to the menu, what is the kind of process that goes into it? If you could just enlighten us on that as well.
I think it's mostly driven by what the customer wants. Like, for example, recently, if you see a couple of my regular customers wanted us to explore the Domino style garlic cheese sticks. So that's something was not in our menu. So they've been asking like multiple times, and that was a driving force for us to experiment. Then I would either have the product have the team taste the product itself, or I will tell them, this is how it has to be. This is how, so you do this, do that. And then they get me some samples, and then I taste it, and then I tell them the feedback, and we do this, a couple of times. Sometimes I do it myself and show it to them. So it's a mix of these two things. And finally, when I feel, yeah, we've nailed it, then we say, okay, we launched this product. So that's how we recently launched this, and people absolutely love it. So that's the new latest addition to the menu.
All right, that's amazing. And one last question before we come to an end for today's session. Shankar wants to know, where do you see yourself or Heavenly Desserts for that matter in 10 years?
Wow. That's a good question.
Yeah.
But I really haven't seen myself beyond the next year, probably.
I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot of outlets.
Personally, at least I would say, as a cake artist, I would like myself to be known as a wedding cake artist. That's something I've been always, the bottom line that I've always been, visioning myself, which I've not really taken much of a step towards that. But I wish probably 10 years down the line, maybe the place to go for wedding cakes. Maybe that's something that would probably interest me.
Wow.
If you be there.
Definitely, and we hope to see some more outlets of Heavenly Desert soon.
Okay, thank you, Kritika.
Yeah. So, well, that brings us to the end of the first episode of Smart Chef Success Stories, presented by Chef Buddy, a free app for home chefs and bakers. I hope you all enjoyed as much as I did asking Rubina all these questions. She was fantastic. And thank you so much, Rubina, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Kritika.
Smart Chef Success Stories is a weekly event, and we will be back next Friday with a new chef hearing their story. Until then, have a wonderful weekend and see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.